Hello and welcome to Bangladesh Today. 42 years after Bangladesh's liberation war, the first war criminal, top Jamaat Islami leader Abdul Kader Mullah was tried, convicted and hanged on 12th December. His execution, however, infuriated the Jamaat Shibir cadres who have wreaked havoc on the streets and towns of Bangladesh, attacking minorities, burning public property and targeting intellectuals. Abdul Kader Mullah was hanged at the Dhaka Central Jail on Thursday after due process of law. A convicted criminal awaiting execution is provided a week's duration to seek mercy from the President of the country. But since Mullah was tried by the War Crimes Tribunal, he was not given this option. Prominent journalist Muqtadir Rashid, who was present outside the jail premises during the hanging, said that the body of Mullah was taken to his ancestral home.
The hanging of Kader Mullah already executed, and that was performed at 10 p.m. In Bangladesh local time, and the district administration chief Sheikh Yusuf Harun confirmed the matter, and his body will be taken. The ambulance already go inside in the jail, and the body will be taken to Faridpur, his ancestral house.
Mullah had refused to seek presidential clemency after the Supreme Court's dismissal of his review petition. He was buried at his home in Faridpur Sadar Upazila at the family graveyard at Amirabad village at around 4:20 a.m. after funeral prayers. Hundreds of people gathered at the center of Dhaka and cheered and danced in celebration, proving just how Mullah's hanging came as a huge relief and contentment for the majority of the population. Nizabin Ahmed, a young civil rights activist, said that Mullah's hanging was a sort of victory of the people.
আমি Nizabin Ahmed, কিছুক্ষণ আগে আমরা জানি কাদের মোল্লার ফাঁসি হয়েছে। এটা আমাদের বিজয় মাসে একটা দ্বিতীয় বিজয় হলো। মনে হলো আমাদের 40 বছরের ঊর্ধ্বে তো পার হয়ে গিয়েছে, শেষ পর্যন্ত আমরা 30 লক্ষ শহীদ।
In 1971, a 23-year-old Abdul Kader Mullah and his Al-Badr accomplices killed a 2-year-old boy by smashing him on the floor, slit the throats of his pregnant mother and 2 sisters, and raped 2 other sisters, one of whom died from her wounds. And all this because the father, a tailor, was a mere supporter of the Awami League and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. That one survivor from the family, then 11-year-old, lived to testify against Mullah and has today seen justice delivered. Abdul Kader Mullah had been convicted for the beheading of a poet and raping an 11-year-old girl and shooting 344 people during the Liberation War of 1971, and another mass killing which earned him the title of Butcher or Kosai of Mirpur. After the nation's independence, Kader Mullah was arrested in 1972 for his criminal role, but General Ziaur Rahman had him released from prison in 1975. He joined the Jamaat Islami in May 1977 and was appointed as the secretary to the then party chief and co-accused Ghulam Azam the following year. Mullah was initially awarded life imprisonment by the War Crimes Tribunal in February this year.
Bangladesh has started from yesterday being able to start the process of end of impunity. So everybody thinks that as a nation thinks that it is the starting point of blotting the scratch of the crimes on Bangladesh's forehead. So as a prosecutor of this International Crimes Tribunal, I'm very particularly, we think that we have done the process and the trial process very fairly, and we have followed the international procedures, all those sections in the act and also the rules in ROPs. We have those corresponding matching to the ICCPR. So those having a lot of questions about the fairness. Regarding the fairness, we can say that it was an open trial, and also the national and international observers and the more than 40 journalists, national and international, they were always having an access to the courtroom. So it was nothing a summary trial, not in closed door trial. So it was totally an open trial, and justice has been done to the victims of the those who have lost life of during these atrocities done by these perpetrators.
The verdict has sparked off protests on the streets. Activists demanded death for Mullah for his heinous crimes. Civil rights activists were enraged when Mullah emerged from the courtroom, flashing a victory sign. The Supreme Court finally changed the verdict to a death sentence. Celebrating a hanging cannot be right, but pause to think. There are hundreds of thousands of people in Bangladesh who will sleep easy knowing that a mass murderer like Mullah will not walk this earth again. If the BNP were to win elections in 2014, its Prime Minister candidate has openly said that the 1971 war criminals would be set free. So Mullah, who was tried and convicted for mass murder and brutal rapes and did not show remorse nor plead for clemency, would have been honorably let off. Would that be fair by any standards? Bangladesh law provides for the death penalty, and mass murder is punishable by the death penalty in the country. He got what he deserved, even if it was inconvenient for the Jamaat and its cadres. The Jamaat-e-Islami party, enraged over the hanging on Thursday, vented their fury at everything in sight. They looted shops, attacked houses of Hindus, set off crude bomb blasts, and some even attacked the houses of tribunal judges who delivered the verdict.
Before 1971, during the wartime, they have acted against the independence of Bangladesh, and they have not only politically gave hands with the then Pakistan military authority, but also after that, after the independence of Bangladesh, they continued working against the independence of Bangladesh, such as they starting with the during 9 months liberation, they pinpointed, they make the list of intellectuals, and they make the list of important persons in the society, those who can run the country nicely and effectively and efficiently. They make the list of those people, and they killed those intellectuals and important persons and the politicians and the normal unarmed civilians of this country during that 9-month operation. It was not possible for Pakistani army to do such an deepest operation of atrocities if the Al-Badr, Razakar and Al-Shams were not helping the Pakistani militaries. So the act of doing atrocities were magnified by the act of Al-Badrs, such as those who are under trial right now, and we have the judgments, and we are not trying them on the basis of present political position they are holding, but this trial for the crimes that they committed during 1971 atrocities, so during the liberation of war. So there was a question about it, but the papers and the judgments and the witness depositions and other international national documents, all those are old documents that helped out us to bring the justice.
The Jamaat-e-Islami has been calling for nationwide general strikes in protest of the execution of Mullah. It labelled the hanging as a political murder. The government has killed Mullah in a planned way, ignoring calls from the international community and the people of Bangladesh. Acting chief of the Jamaat-e-Islami, Maqbool Hussain, said in a statement released on the party's website. Similarly, Jamaat-e-Islami Pakistan condemned the move and called Mullah a martyr. Other prominent Jamaat leaders in Bangladesh who are sentenced to death are Abul Kalam Azad, Dilawar Hussain Saidi, Muhammad Kamruzaman and Chaudhry Moeen Uddin. 90-year-old Ghulam Azam has been given life imprisonment. War veteran Anwar Zahid said that the Jamaat's bloody path will never lead to peace in Bangladesh and that they were trying to influence people misusing the name of religion.
না আমরা উদ্যোগটা নিলাম যে দেশের এখন যে নৈরাজ্যকর পরিস্থিতি চলতেছে মানবতা যেখানে বিবর্জিত মানে একদম বিবর্জিত মানুষে বাসের মধ্যে পড়াইয়ে মারা হইতেছে এগুলো ইসলাম সম্মত কিনা এগুলো মানবতার মধ্যে পড়ে কিনা এই বিষয়গুলো আমরা বোঝার পরে আমরা চিন্তা করলাম যে একটি শান্তির অন্বেষায় সমাবেশ করা উচিত এবং ধর্মীয় দৃষ্টিকোণ থেকে এই ব্যাখ্যাগুলো যারা দিতে পারবেন সেই ধরনের লোকজনকে নিয়ে আমরা এই অনুষ্ঠানটি করার জন্য আমরা রাজি হয়েছি এবং আমরা মনে করি এই ধরনের মানে সমাবেশ প্রতিটি জেলায় এই মুহূর্তে হওয়া উচিত।
Washington State Department spokesperson Mari Harf said that Bangladesh was passing through a very sensitive moment, urging all parties to resolve their differences peacefully. Syed Akbaruddin, spokesperson of India's External Affairs Ministry, said that Mullah's execution was a part of Bangladesh's internal judicial process, but also hoped that differences would be sorted out in a peaceful environment.
We proceed with our relations with Bangladesh on the principles of mutual respect, mutual benefit, non-interference, and respect for each other's sovereignty. Now, our relations with Bangladesh are broad-based and inclusive. India has always and will always respect the wishes of the people of Bangladesh.
India hopes
it is for the people of Bangladesh to decide their future. We have deep respect for their wisdom and achievements. And we are confident that as a democracy, the people of Bangladesh will resolve their differences through dialogue and peaceful means in an atmosphere free of violence. That brings me to your last question. Now, the execution of the death sentence on Abdul Kader Mullah, the Assistant Secretary General of the Jamaat Islami, is an outcome of the internal judicial processes and laws of Bangladesh.
The Sheikh Hasina government has ensured that the trials went on as scheduled despite international criticisms on the legal and political processes involved. Sheikh Hasina and indeed Bangladesh's message to the West is clear. They should stay out of Bangladesh's internal affairs now as they failed to condemn the atrocities in 1971. Justice will be delivered the way the Bangladeshi courts deem fit. The Awami League's efforts to fulfill its 2009 election pledge to bring the perpetrators of war crimes to justice is well on track. Bangladesh is finally on its way to closure that it has always sought for the crimes committed against its people by the Pakistani troops and their local collaborators in 1971. On Monday, 16th December, it will be 42 years since the Indian Army with the Mukti Bahini got the Pakistani Army to make an unconditional surrender. More on that in the News Roundup section. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina on December 14th paid tribute to the intellectuals of the country who were brutally killed during the 1971 Liberation War. The Prime Minister placed a wreath at the martyred intellectuals memorial at Mirpur. It was on December 16, 1971 that 93,000 Pakistani troops surrendered to the allied forces of the Indian Army and Mukti Bahini in Surhavadi Udyan in Dhaka, ending the war and paving the way for the creation of Bangladesh. The US Coast Guard cutter Jarvis, which has been named BNS Samudra Joy after it was handed over to Bangladesh Navy in May this year in California, has finally arrived at Chittagong Port. The 378-foot cutter has become the largest vessel in the Navy fleet. Bangladesh Bank has asked the police to protect ATMs in Dhaka amid the spate of violence during the opposition agitation. Banks have also been asked to keep adequate money in ATM machines. Violent politics is squeezing the life out of many sectors in Bangladesh. blockades have disrupted supply chains of perishables like milk, fruit and vegetables. Blockades and shutdowns over the last 2 weeks have disrupted the delivery of import containers and created congestion at the Chittagong port. Around 7 million transport workers who earn basic wages remain jobless during blockades or shutdowns. Blockades and shutdowns called by the BNP and the Jamaat are putting an immense pressure on those who took bank loans for buying vehicles, as with hardly no income at all, 80% of them are now unable to pay their monthly installments.
Thank you for watching Bangladesh Today.
Rashid, who was present outside the jail premises during the hanging, said that the body of Mullah was taken to his ancestral home.
The hanging of Kader Mullah already executed, and that was performed at 10 p.m. In Bangladesh local time. And the district administration chief Sheikh Yusuf Harun confirmed the matter, and his body will be taken. The ambulance already go inside in the jail, and the body will be taken to
Qadars who have wreaked havoc on the streets and towns of Bangladesh, attacking minorities, burning public property and targeting intellectuals.
Abdul Kader Mullah was hanged at the Dhaka Central Jail on Thursday after due process of law. A convicted criminal awaiting execution is provided a week's duration to seek mercy from the president of the country. But since Mullah was tried by the War Crimes Tribunal, he was not given this option. Prominent journalist Muqtadir's how Mullah's hanging came as a huge relief and contentment for the majority of the population. Nizabin Ahmed, a young civil rights activist, said that Mullah's hanging was a sort of victory of the people.
আমি মেহজাবিন আহমেদ কিছুক্ষণ আগে আমরা জানি কাদের মোল্লার ফাঁসি হয়েছে এটা আমাদের বিজয় মাসে একটা দ্বিতীয় বিজয় হলো মনে হলো আমাদের 40 বছরের ঊর্ধ্বে তো পার হয়ে গিয়েছে শেষ পর্যন্ত আমরা 30 লক্ষ শহীদ
Hello and welcome to Bangladesh Today. 42 years after Bangladesh's liberation war, the first war criminal, top Jamaat Islami leader Abdul Kader Mullah was tried, convicted and hanged on 12th December. His execution, however, infuriated the Jamaat Shibir.
Faridpur, his ancestral house.
Mullah had refused to seek presidential clemency after the Supreme Court's dismissal of his review petition. He was buried at his home in Faridpur's Sadar Upazila at the family graveyard at Amirabad village at around 4:20 a.m. after funeral prayers. Hundreds of people gathered at the center of Dhaka and cheered and danced in celebration, proving just